We start again with an image of a barren Times Square in New York. Good evening once again. This was day 1162 of the Trump administration, leaving 222 days to go until our next presidential election. It's been 15 days now since the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus a global pandemic. And tonight, our country, sad to say, leads the world, but in an awful way. We have now surpassed China. We now have the greatest number of confirmed coronavirus cases on Earth. The president today said the fact that we have passed China is a, quote, tribute to our testing. He wants to clear whole regions of the country still to get back out, get to work pretty quickly, he said today. He added, the process has to start pretty soon. Please note we are nowhere near the projected peak of this illness, and our trend line is heading straight up. The president blew through a ton of impressive-sounding numbers of masks and gloves and ventilators on order and being shipped. Some of the numbers were the same as yesterday, none of them with any bearing, seemingly, on the desperation we are hearing and seeing from urban hospitals, especially as the death toll soars. Remember, please, we have no idea how many Americans have the virus. Of those tested, over 82,000 Americans have been infected. Over 1,100 have now died. There are now upwards of 500,000 cases around the globe. Today, on the day we learn more than 3 million people have filed for unemployment, the White House revealed its new plan to try to reopen our country while also trying to contain the pandemic. In a teleconference with the nation's governors, Trump said he's looking into easing up on social distancing and other mitigation efforts. He's also calling for splitting the U.S. into high, low, and medium risk areas, county by county, as a way to potentially allow some people to go back to work. The president and vice president talked about it during today's briefing.
We're going to be talking about dates. We're going to be talking with a lot of great professionals. But this is a country that was built on getting it done, and our people want to go back to work. We've got to start the process pretty soon, so we'll be talking to you a little bit more about that next week.
We'll be presenting this weekend, the president, a range of recommendations and additional guidance for going forward. The president's made it clear that, in his words, he wants to open the country up, but we're going to do that responsibly. And as the president told the governors today, we'll do that based on the data.
Now, the Trump administration's 15 days to slow the spread program comes to an end early next week. But remember, this virus doesn't obey a calendar. It doesn't recognize state or county lines. The White House coronavirus coordinator, Dr. Deborah Birx, says officials are concerned about the increasing number of cases around Detroit and Chicago. She sounded a note of caution about the president's plan.
These are dialogues that the federal government has to have with state and local governments, because state and local governments make those decisions. And that's what's been inspirational to me, of seeing how much the governors understand where they are in their epidemic and what they will need to do in the future. Part of this will be the need to have highly responsible behavior between counties. And I think the American people can understand that.
Mike Pence also announced 552,000 tests have been completed across our country. But a reminder, in a nation of 327 million people, that's roughly 0.17% of all Americans. Meanwhile, more is being uncovered about the government's initial response to this outbreak. Politico reporting the White House failed to follow the National Security Council's nearly 70-page playbook on fighting pandemics. ProPublica is reporting on internal emails that reveal confusion at the CDC, delaying efforts to stop the spread of this thing in the early months of this year. President Trump's own comments about readiness early on offered no few specifics.
We pretty much shut it down coming in from China. We can't have thousands of people coming in who may have this problem, the coronavirus.
We're prepared and we're doing a great job with it, and it will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away.
This is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries. I've always viewed it as very serious.
Well, tonight in an interview with Fox News, the president criticized governors who have criticized his administration's response to this outbreak.
And we have people like Governor Inslee. He should be doing more. He shouldn't be relying on the federal government. Governor Inslee, that's the state of Washington. He was a failed presidential candidate, and, you know, he's always complaining. And your governor of Michigan, I mean, she's not stepping up. I don't know if she knows what's going on, but all she does is sit there and blame the federal government. Some of these governors, you know, they take, and then they complain.
The New York Times reports the White House's ongoing personnel dramas, the high turnover rate, the dizzying array of acting department heads also hampered the administration's response. As we mentioned this morning, came the concrete evidence of the massive impact this epidemic is having on our economy. Labor Department reporting nearly 3.3 million Americans filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits for the week ending 21 March. This New York Times chart also shows it topping claims in the 2008 recession by a huge margin. Today's number shattered the record for initial claims. In a rare television interview, Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, talked about what this could mean.
We may well be in a recession, but again, I would point to the difference between this and a normal recession. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with our economy. Quite the contrary. The economy performed very well right through February. We've got 50-year low in unemployment for the last couple of years. So we start in a very strong position. This isn't something that's wrong with the economy. This is a situation where people are being asked to step back from economic activity, close their businesses, stay home from work.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.